on this planet is as fortunate as you. Now it's 2,000 years later and some say it's getting worse. These men are only getting louder and increasingly perverse. So let's take a moment to make sure it's not all misconstrued, 'cause it never hurts to go back to a subject and review. Don't judge your neighbor unless you're looking in the mirror. It doesn't matter one bit if they didn't come from here. Feed the hungry. You might be hungry one day too. Not every person on this planet is as fortunate as you.
The Henhouse Prowlers, a bluegrass group out of Chicago, preached in their song Gospel in Review at a recent concert. Listen in.
You don't have to be a Christian to take on this point of view. Let us not forget that Jesus is a Muslim prophet too. Did you know that's really true? You can be a Hindu, Catholic, or arthropod. You don't even have to believe in a higher power God. Don't judge your neighbor unless you're looking in the mirror. It doesn't matter one bit if they didn't come from here. Feed the hungry. You might be hungry one day too. Not every person on this planet is as fortunate as you. Now as this song comes to a close and we all go along our ways, it's important to remember there are coming better days. If we all just take a moment to remember what is best. We are all just human beings. No one's better than the rest.
Shout out to Kurt Gottsinger on TikTok for taking that video, and it reminds me of this.
Well, other than the fact that it reminds me a lot of the flag waving and choreographed patriotism that we had back in Nazi Germany a half a century ago. The fact that we got a one-party system which is in control of all three branches of our government, lapdog media that's cranking out propaganda for the administration and make a Nazi blush. Other than that, we're doing pretty good.
If you ask me, one of the illnesses is that there's too much money being spent on military, and there should be more spent on education, welfare, young people, the children, the elderly, especially the elderly. There's always been a lot of things wrong with the country, but it's always been our obligation and opportunity to help straighten those things out. I love this country. I love America, for instance, you know. I love this country.
There's a lot of things wrong with this country. I think the spirit is still here. The spirit just needs to scream a little bit. They say the wheel that does the squeaking is the one that gets the grease, so it's time for the spirit to scream a little bit.
How various genres that appear to be overtaken by the Jason Aldeans of the world do not all kowtow for fascists. Justin Hiltner wrote, "It's important to remember that although bluegrass in its modern iteration can often feel staunchly conservative, militantly patriotic, and delusionally nostalgic for old-fashioned values, it's a genre that was born from the creativity of working class and impoverished Southerners, Appalachians, and immigrants, and it has always had a pro-worker, leftward bent."
When the House On-American Activities Committee wanted to know if you had political connections, you didn't want to answer, and that got you into some serious trouble.
This is because this group of people are actually, they're a group, in my opinion, a group of American fascists. Their idea of America is America where everybody agrees with them.
He adds bluegrass and old-time music, though entangled in a dense constellation of roots music and occupying space adjacent to folk music and the folk revival, were anti-corporate greed since before they had names, before Pete Seeger, before the folk revival itself. That legacy is important to place at the very center of bluegrass, a genre of music that was born out of industrialization as mountain folk, Appalachians, and Southerners migrated out of their rural home places to urban industrial centers. There are legends like Woody Guthrie, who wrote Tear the Fascists Down in the 40s. A leader in workers' rights, Guthrie was an anti-fascist, anti-racist iconoclast determined to debunk the myth of the American dream. On his guitar read the following message: "This machine kills fascists." Fun fact, by the way, Guthrie once wrote and recorded a song called Old Man Trump. And this is true. After he learned of the landlord's business practices in not renting to black folks. Guthrie's own song from many, many years ago. Because as we know, the Nixon Justice Department went after Fred Trump, Donald Trump, and the Trump orbit for conducting such business practices. Hazel Dickens's They'll Never Keep Us Down speaks on the power imbalance between the ultra-wealthy, ultra-powerful, who prioritize profits over people. They'll go to great lengths, even robbing, stealing, and killing to maintain power. Personally, what I find to be most frustrating is how we don't learn from history. This new era of country music, yeah, it is fascistic. What really gets me is that so many of these folks that came up through, whether it is folk, country, bluegrass, don't really care to pay homage to the folks of yesteryears. And instead, what you have are the Morgan Wallens of this world, who somehow, some way, even after saying the N-word multiple times, are good. They get invited to SNL, and then they make a scene saying they can't stand being there. They got to get back to God's country, which is Nashville. Nashville is God's country in your 20-acre compound. Please. It really gets to me because I used to be one of those people that was like, yeah, I don't listen to that. I'll listen to anything but insert genre. And then when you look into what these folks were writing about, singing about, from the Guthries to the Seegers, it is hard not to get behind, especially if you are a leftist, especially if you are pro-labor, pro-working class, pro-immigrant, anti-authoritarian. That is what this genre was built on, which also, on the same wavelength, really troubles me how many folks fell for the J.D. Vance stuff. He talks about Appalachia, talks about his history. Those same people that he grew up with probably hate him because of the way that he exploited what happened to then become VP and take advantage of those same people. They do not care about the working class. And he'll probably play some Guthrie in his car, which sickens me. Lastly, what also gets to me is I saw Billy Strings at Bonnaroo a few years ago and he was awesome. Biggest bluegrass star right now in the country. And it's quite puzzling to see that he would endorse Donald Trump for president in 2024. Almost sickening. Talk about disrespecting those that you grew up on. Shameful. Hey, I appreciate you watching. Now, if you can, please do become a channel member by going to youtube.com/tytsports and clicking the join button. If that's too much for you, you can just go to tyt.com/join to become a member. It helps all of us out here at the Young Turks and keeps our network afloat. In addition, you could follow me on my socials on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate the love. Have a great day.